Good morning and welcome to NYNJPA Weather, your weather source for the Northern Mid-Atlantic. I'm meteorologist Stephen DiMartino. Welcome to November. I hope everyone had a great Halloween. Well, the surface map this morning is showing high pressure in full control throughout the entire Northern Mid-Atlantic, Great Lakes, and Northeast. Still a little breezy out there with winds anywhere from 10 to 15 miles per hour with higher gusts, but overall the winds will continue to decline as the pressure gradient weakens. What isn't going to be leaving, though, is the cool temperatures. Welcome to fall. Forget about the 70s. We're in the 50s and 40s, which is pretty much where we should be. A little bit cooler than normal, but not too extreme in any way, shape, or form. And, of course, we have an area of low pressure that's developing over the southern plains. Get used to hearing that a lot this winter. And that low pressure center is going to create some problems for us later on this week. Let's take a look at the latest satellite picture. Here we have our water vapor, and you can see the blue here, that's our polar jet stream. The green is the subtropical jet stream, and we have a very energetic disturbance that is sitting over the southern plains. Now, this disturbance is going to be very interesting because it's going to interact with several different pieces in the atmosphere. For one, you can see that the jet stream isn't exactly in phase. You have a ridge in the polar jet stream where there's a trough in the subtropical jet stream, and that usually creates a little bit of uncertainty in the model guidance. Okay, a lot of uncertainty in the model guidance. Models are all over the place from run to run, and I'll show you a few examples of that in just a few moments. However, there is a problem in the tropics. Let's take a look at Tropical Storm Thomas. So here we have Tropical Storm Thomas, however you want to pronounce it. For one thing's for sure, it is underperforming. This tropical storm was supposed to be a Category 3 hurricane by now. It clearly is not. It's amazing what a little bit of southwesterly shear and some dry air will do to any tropical system, especially in November. Now, this disturbance, or should I say tropical storm, it's almost down to being a disturbance at this point, the way it's so disorganized, was supposed to have a major impact on the entire upper level pattern going forward towards next week. Why? That storm was going to curve northeast, cut through Haiti like they need it, and then integrate with the coastal storm that I'm expecting to develop off the east coast by Thursday and Friday. The problem is that this storm is nowhere near as strong as what was expected, and as a result, the influence of this storm will not be anywhere near as impressive. Instead of a huge upper level low over the east coast and a powerful coastal storm because of the addition of latent heat energy, well, instead you get a so-so type coastal storm that moves quickly with some periods of heavy rain, but not really the major pattern changer that could have been if Thomas was stronger. As a result, I'm expecting Thomas to curve to the northeast, fall under the influence of a strong trough off the east coast, namely our coastal storm, and become sheared apart and have not much of an impact on the northern Mid-Atlantic. For those in Haiti and eastern Cuba, if you're watching, keep an eye on this storm. Even if it doesn't return to hurricane strength, it will still produce plenty of heavy rain, strong winds, and especially in Haiti, it hasn't been pretty there, obviously, with the earthquake and whatnot, so use some caution there and be prepared. We're going to start to look at some model guidance from the Penn State eWall, an excellent website for all your meteorological needs as far as model data and model guidance and so on and so forth. Now, what I have here is just the overview of the European model guidance first, followed by the GFS, followed by the Canadian. All of these models are changing drastically. For one, at this point on Thursday night into Friday morning, this trough, 500 millibars on the upper left-hand corner here, was supposed to be a closed low. All the energy was supposed to be consolidated, a powerful storm was developing, and it was supposed to cut up through the New York City, through the Philadelphia metropolitan area, should I say, and towards Syracuse. Instead, well, the whole pattern's been shifted east. That's an interesting observation for this coming winter. But the most important thing is that this storm is nowhere near as strong as what some of the model guidance was saying. 963 millibar lows does not look like a real possibility at this time. However, we're still looking at a pretty good coastal low developing and moving through the New Jersey coastal waters Thursday into Friday with periods of heavy rain. We take a look at the GFS model guidance. We can see in the GFS model guidance Again, even less of a consolidation of this upper level trough. Majority of the energy is with the polar jet stream. We do have a nice ridge over the west though. Notice the ridge axis is moving towards central Montana. Big indication of an east coast storm that should remain off the coast, not cutting inland. So that's a really big indication right there that we've seen that with the European, the GFS. We'll see if we have it with the Canadian. But again, I want to point out that the model guidance is having a hard time, whether you're looking at the European or the GFS, of trying to figure out whether this trough is consolidated or whether the energy remains kind of separated in pieces. And so therefore you get a storm that's separated into pieces. So instead of just one large storm with a heavy area of rainfall, you get these bands of moderate rain that's moving through as these weak low pressure systems are moving off the east coast. Again, also notice we have less of an interaction from our tropical system because it's not nearly as organized and also likely probably being torn apart before even reaching this coastal storm. And then we have again our Canadian model guidance, a little bit closer to the European model guidance. I guess all non-US weather guidance likes to stick together. But the overall theme again is a weaker storm further east. The trough is not nearly as well developed. It's a little bit more of an interaction. You see again, we have a ridge over the west coast and specifically a ridge axis over Montana, which again suggests that the storm track is shifted off the coast, not inland. Keep an eye on that throughout the entire winter. That's going to be a big story as we move forward. So we could see an area of low pressure that's not nearly as organized, not nearly as strong as what we're seeing in previous model guidance, and so therefore we're kind of backing away from this strong storm idea. So in the forecast right now, I'm basically staying put where I'm at right now, and the reason why is because as we move forward through the cold season, or as we call winter, the model guidance is going to have less and less of a reliability beyond 4 days, and it's usually not a good idea to jump around with each run of the models. One run could say, hey, it's storm's moving east, it's weak, it's falling apart, and then the next one comes in and it's a monster storm. We have to wait a little bit longer until we get all the players on the field, and that should be by tonight. In the meantime, we clearly have our strong disturbance over the southern plains. I have no doubt that that is moving towards the east coast and that there will be periods of heavy rain on Thursday and Friday. The question is the exact track, and as a result, whether or not we have higher elevation snow over the Poconos and parts of the Hudson Valley. Right now, I'm leaning towards yes, just because this is going to be a very dynamic system even without the tropical interaction, and the fact that cold air is rushing in behind this low pressure center. I'm not looking for a heavy snowfall at all at this time. However, I would not be surprised if some of this rain changes over to snow and you get some weak accumulations over parts of northeastern Pennsylvania and the Hudson Valley. We'll have to keep an eye on the storm and see exactly how it plays out. Thank you for trusting in NYNJPA weather as your weather source for the Northern Mid-Atlantic. I'm meteorologist Stephen DiMartino. Have an excellent day and a good start to the week.